It doesn't matter either way, but if you prefer, I can.
What kind of computer? I mean, I guess I can host it too because it won't change anything.
Sure. You want to go ahead and hop into the Steam chat group?
Are you gonna? Is it probably easier if you host it because it's easy for you to stream it from your. Okay, I'll go into the Steam chat.
I have the game up whenever you're ready.
I don't see your Deathbringer E5.
Hold on, let me join the thing.
Is the Civ bot gonna post like the thing is live now, or do you guys?
Yeah, it'll post it automatically as soon as it detects that I'm live.
Oh, that's right. That's what it does for all the players, right? On the in the content creator thing.
Yeah, if they're added to the bot, it will.
Okay, yeah, I see you there.
I'm in the chat if you want to join. We got about a minute and a half until we go live.
Okay, I'll just turn in my music and stuff off so I don't.
I can't even hear it right now, so if it's good for you, good for you.
So what? How big of a game are you gonna make here, or does it matter? I don't.
Just threw together a 6-player thing. You can have 4 AIs, it doesn't matter. Hell, we can knock it down to 2 AI.
Did it error? Let me try again.
Uh-oh.
We can be doing the show while I'm joining your game. That's not a problem. I'll just have that in the background, getting ready to join.
That's fine. Just keep it all raw. Keep it live.
We're illustrating one of the issues of server crashes or. Sometimes I've noticed when that happens, the host, for some reason, I've done it with my friend, the host has to just start a new game when it starts doing this. I don't know why that works, but maybe that's good. Maybe we do it right when the show starts. We say, hey, we're starting up a game, and here's how you do it, and that wouldn't be so bad.
All right. And we are live. Welcome everybody to our first weekly Civ 6 podcast. I'm Sarnith, and joining me today is my co-host Louie.
Hello everybody.
Today we're going to be going over a whole bunch of topics. We're going to be taking questions from chat as you guys ask them throughout the show here today. And we're going to be trying to get everyone's questions answered as much as possible. We're going to be going things from all over to current events to issues of the week to see what everyone's complaining about.
And at some point, our fearless leader will be joining us, CanuckSoldier.
That is correct. He will be on. He was supposed to join us right away, but he had a family thing come up, so he will be running just a little late today.
So did you make a new game, sir, or you still got the other one? Okay, let's see if it works this time. We're just showing you what one of the little minor annoyances is. Sometimes it'll crash, and you just have to host has to restart the game. Not a big deal.
Just sits. Everything just pretty much be standard here. World age, new, online, speed, the usual. So for current events going on, we have the CCC coming up, the first one for us here at Civ 6.
Yeah, the big. I'm myself. Just a quick background. I used to bleed in the league way back when it was Civ 4, and I was on there briefly, and then I was maybe very briefly in Civ 5. But I know the multiplayer had a lot of issues, so I know that community was kind of down there. But now I know it's back up and really gathering a lot of steam because Civ 6 is a big improvement. It's kind of like what Civ 5 should have been. Using the Civ 5, but it's definitely has a lot of Civ 4 like depth in it, and a lot of really nice changes. I mean, the Ed Beach guy has really done a great job, I think.
It definitely has its ups and downs.
From the first stirrings of life,
the biggest issues people seem to be having are definitely coming from the lobbies airing out from players competing for the same slot if they don't join one at a time. And if you're not orchestrating it carefully, it causes a whole lot of problems. Hopefully we'll see that fixed in the next patch.
On towards the stars.
Yeah, so there's always going to be, and that's always going to be some minor stress with new players they get in, and so that's why it's important. And I know the CanuckSoldiers told this, and I'm sure you have many times. It's very important for us to be I'm still new, but especially the older players, to be patient with people. You don't want to scare new people off by hey, well, you didn't join on time, and flipping out. You got to you got to be patient with people because it may be their first time they're doing a multiplayer, and so they don't know you're supposed to get rid of the files and all this other stuff. So and I think most of the players are pretty cool about that, about being patient.
They are, but I can understand why some get as frustrated as they do, and especially when you have these veterans in the league that have been here since day one. For them, it's just another day in paradise, hashing it out and dealing with the issue and going. But these newer players, they take a bit longer, wait, which files, or wait, I don't understand. And we have to keep calmer and keep a better attitude about that. But also apart from that is people have to understand that these are no-quit communities that are popping up. We're making these communities get away from people that just abandon games and things of that nature. But people still seem to think, hey, it's whatever, I'm just going to quit when I'm done. It's not what people come to these leagues for.
Yeah, I think people should know it's a competitive. Well, it doesn't mean you have to be. You certainly don't have to be any expert. I'm certainly no expert, but you do need to have a serious desire to play competitively. I think you agree. It's not really a casual for people to play casually. I mean, people can, but I mean that's not really the bulk of the league is competitive people. I'm assuming, right?
The bulk of our community definitely is more competitive. However, there are other communities out there that aren't as competitive, so that things like that drive them away more easily than, say, us here.
So is this going over? So is this coming through nicely on the Twitch? Our little game here.
Yeah, so far so good. The quality seems to be okay. I have it pulled up on my phone actually to keep an eye on chat as well as the stream quality and sound quality.
Yeah, and so yeah, so I think I've been like maybe you can. So me, this is a. So I don't know all the background, but is the Discord as it is now is this relatively new development in the community?
Well, Discord hasn't been out for all that long. It's a relatively new innovation, and sure, you know, being around for a couple of years, that doesn't sound like a short time. But when you have stuff like TeamSpeak, then Trello, even the curse chat thing that's been being pretty hyped lately, it is very young. And Discord being free compared to all these other services really makes it worthwhile to these various communities, because not everyone has money to just throw around willy-nilly.
But how long has it been used by the Civ Players League, the Discord?
Well, the Civ Players League has been on this actual Discord since the early spring, when we split from the main CPL, because CPL used to have a TCL in it as well. And I'm not going to go into the drama suited with that. The people that know about it, and the people that don't, well, you can ask the people that were there for it if you really want to know. There's just a lot of bad blood there, and I don't want to dredge up negative emotions and all that.
But yeah, I will say it's definitely, because for me, I'm a good example of, like, because the last time I was on the league was before the Discord, and it's a major improvement, because before, I'm pretty chatty, so I'm somebody that will go on sometimes even if I'm not looking for a game and just chat. And I remember back when it was a Steam, there was really very little chatting, at least from what I remember. So but now it's very active. You go in there anytime, and there's always people chatting, or a good chunk of them are looking for games, but there's always people they're happy to chat about the game in general, and it's easy to find people. This is when I can transition quickly, talk about, like, I guess for people that know, I'm the guy that's always like trying to get duels going, and which I think it's important, especially for the newer players, to have, and just in general, anytime you have more options, you go bringing more players in. If it's right now, I know it's are the large free-for-all games, but I'm definitely making an effort to get more duels, and there is actually a good amount of teamers being played, I notice, especially right around the tournament. I guess people are practicing, so that's good. But I think especially for newer players, it's much easier to get in and play a quick duel than to play, and some people just don't have the time to commit to a 3 to 5 hour game, and so I think it's great to have the option of a duel or a shorter game for anybody, and especially for newer players. Probably easier transition when they're new to the game.
Yeah, absolutely. There are a lot of good points to people getting into smaller matches when they want to. And if they want to say, hey, I'm just looking for a 4-man game, or a 5-man, or a duel like you have, the option does exist. You just have to speak out. And most aren't.
Yeah, you just have to. I mean, it's not. Yeah, I'm naturally just keep trying and trying. So I would encourage people. Like I would say I've dueled 10 or more people. So I've always been able to. Not every time. Sometimes I can't find any. But if you go on there and you are persistent, you will be able to find duels and small games. And the players are I mean, I think people know that I'm not that good, and a bunch of the top players have played me, so they're very nice and they give me tips. So it's a very it's a welcoming community. It's a very good learning tool when you play a duel against somebody, and it's very clear that you got crushed or whatever it was, and you can look at it. You can't. There's no like, oh, I got a bad start, or I got teamed up on. No, you had a mirror map and you just got crushed, and you can let you look at your play and try to get better.
Absolutely, and we had a question coming from chat. Yes, 100 games, 100 days. This is King Louie, actually. He is my co-host of these podcasts.
At his best, man is the noblest of all animals.
I don't think. I mean, I think a lot. I mean, you said you're pretty. I was going to ask you that. So, what got you into? You said you were not in the Civ 5 or Civ 4. What got you into Civ 6?
I've been an avid Civ 2 player for most of my life. I remember when the game came out, my grandfather gave it to me, and I've absolutely loved it. I ended up getting into Civ 3 a bit, and I ended up, after I joined the military, I was really busy with that part and aspect of my life. And then I sat down and I saw Civ 6 on Steam, and it came around on sale for the weekend. I'm like, you know what? I really love playing Civ. I absolutely love it.
Your Majesty.
So okay, so you just kind of took off. You just were not in the Civ 4 or 5. You just were like in. I think anybody that plays video games has periods where they just do it like anybody. Somebody might play a violin and just not do it for a number of years, and they could suddenly start playing it and be like all about it again. I think that happens. Anybody can identify with that, I think. But so that's so.
Who deserves more?
Yeah, for me, how I got into this again is I was trying to play multiplayer, and I like a lot of people, I get frustrated, go on, and there's random people quitting or just being jerks. But I did talk to CanuckSoldier now and then on Steam, and so I think I sent him a message a few months ago saying, yeah, I like the single player, and he was like just reiterating, yeah, you really should play multiplayer, you know, it's better, and he gave me the link for the Discord, and then I think a week or two later I got the Discord, and since then I've been back really into it again. Make sure I'm still here. Am I still coming through okay?
Yeah, you're fine. I had to do some volume adjustments.
Okay, I was wondering. Yeah.
The Civ 6 music is significantly louder than the rest of the game. I had to turn it down.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, I kind of thought about that. So I just muted the music and the stuff beforehand because I thought that could be an issue. Loud occasionally.
Yeah, I just turned the music off. I turned all the master volume all the way down. But I mean, there are a lot of great and wonderful aspects about coming together in a community for Civ. You know, you get away from quitters, you get away from general stacking, which is ludicrous in and of itself. Even for Access developers have admitted openly that, hey, that's unintended. That's not supposed to work. Because you can stack generals, but you can't stack admirals.
Yeah, I didn't know. For me, I'm learning of that too. For me, at first, I was one of these guys. Well, let's just play everything as is. You know, if it's that bad, it wouldn't be. They'd fix it. But then I played somebody, and they did the general stack, and then I realized how overpowered it is. But I guess I just had to see it for myself to realize how broken it is. He had like 3 generals stacked, and so he had like plus 15 swordsmen coming at me, and so the game was over.
Swordsmen moving like horsemen.
And then they move. Same thing. Multiplayer is really great for that. It really will make you a much better player. Than you're never gonna get as good as you could be playing the AI, because the AI just is not, it's just not going to be as clever as use cheats. And so if you really want to get the best you can be at the game, you have to play against people. And it's just a lot more fun. I mean, you'll get crazy things happen to you, or you may come up with something crazy, and it's good. I mean, yeah, just a lot of people you can talk to the game about. It's a nice, anytime I want, I can just go on there, and there's always such a big worldwide following. So there's always, if you stay up, I stay up pretty late, there's always people like in Australia or like Asia playing. And so it's really good. Anytime, I think there's always on.
Absolutely, and I'm gonna swing back to the current event thing actually, because there are 2 tournaments going on right now, which has seen a huge boost to our team games in general right now. And those are the TCL's 3v3 event on their map, as well as you have the CCC coming up that I mentioned earlier, which the clans have all submitted teams for, and you're gonna see them duking it out.
That starts tomorrow, right? The clan tournament?
Yes.
The CCC?
Yes. The events kick off at 11 a.m. Eastern, and the check-in times for the teams is at 10.
Planning on playing in the tournament, but I said if they needed some help, and so they needed somebody for their 4x4, and so I'm playing on the 4 versus 4 team. They said it's good because the other 3 guys can help me. myself played a lot of team matches, so I'm anxious to get some different kind of matches in. But I don't know if I'm sure they will at some point. I was reading an article about saying Civ 4 had like a cooperative play, I guess, meaning like you could have 2 players play one, help out, and they're saying I think Civ 6 doesn't have that, but the article was saying that was one of the things that got the guy really into the game, that he could play it co-op. So hopefully Civ 6 comes up with a co-op soon, and that could be competitive. You could have 4 people, 2 guys co-oping against 2. Just be a nice like additional mode for people.
Yeah, definitely.
And so what else is do we have any more questions in the chat room or from the Discord?
As it stands, not really. So we're just gonna chug along here with the topic.
Alrighty. What is the next topic?
Well, it's not really a next topic as much as hey, because we have players in the TCL tournament right now, and they've been doing really great. And you have Philly Boy Blade and Harambe's team. Their team of 3 has made it all the way to the finals. They're waiting for the other side of the bracket to finish up. And we're actually waiting for the round 1 match, unfortunately, still for the. And then
yeah, they're stuck.
Go ahead.
They're stuck. Yeah, the one side is in the finals, but they have to wait. They had to wait for some opening rounds on the other side before they could even. So have they got to the semis now, or are they ready to play the finals yet?
The Clan OP's team is waiting for their semi-final match, so we're still waiting for this round 1 match. It was supposed to be done 2 weeks ago, but there's been a hiccup with the times between the players because they're on opposite ends of the world. Because the staff has allowed the teams to set their own times and dates for their matches, and it's caused quite a bit of a delay. So hopefully they take this as a learning experience.
Here's a semi-noob question that you probably have answer to. When it tells you, when it recommends cities, what do you have any idea what it's? Is it just looking for water, or is that all? Or is it? You think it's come? Is it have some other factor that when that computer says here's some good city sites?
Oh, okay.
Probably you guys don't listen to it at all, but I just wonder do you know what goes into it, deciding like this is where I want you to put it?
Well, the suggested city placement is based on a number of factors. It'll pick some place that has decent growth rate to it. For example, I've selected my settler on my screen, and instead of selecting a tile near the river, it wants me to place on a coastal because it'll grab 2 rice. It'll end up grabbing the fish because I took the fishing boat Pantheon for more production. And it's also going to reach out and take into these rainforests that I can chop. However, the suggest city placement, you really shouldn't follow it, because if you put a little more thought into it, because cities will reach out to 3 tiles away from their city center. So if you can plan that out, you will do far better than just someone who places where the game suggests it.
Okay, so it's okay for like a very new player maybe as a reference, but it's not. You're going to do a better job yourself if you make a little effort.
Absolutely.
Water too. I know that's one of the factors it looks at. What's a good place that has water? So you start out with more housing. So that's not a bad. I think that's a good guide at least. When you click on the settler and you see all this green or red, and like that's at least a rough guide. Like, okay, these squares have good water on them. At least that's like an initial, because that can be kind of a pain when you start out and you already having like the housing limit kick in right away.
Oh yeah. Well, when you have that housing limitation, it really comes down to turning it into, you have to, when are you going to make a granary? What can you do for improvements on your tiles to increase housing? For example, the fishing boat, every fishing boat you improve, right, on any tile with a crab, fish, whale, oyster, is half a point of housing. So for every 2 fishing tiles you improve, you get an extra population slot, more or less.
Yeah, so I'm always trying to decide. Yeah, like I always trying to think like when is the right time. Like when you have some extra cash, like sometimes I'll buy a granary. I always wonder like what am I really doing this to the optimum? Like what are the best things to buy, or what when is these are always things that, and I haven't really come up with a good.
There's no definite answer for that, and that's going to be on a game-to-game basis, because you don't know what tiles you're going to get every game, who your neighbors are, how close they are, city states. There's so many different factors can play into this game. There is no set guide, no set build order. The only thing you can really reliably say you're going to do every single game is start off by building a scout.
Yeah, that's generally the first, because they're cheaper and you can just uncover stuff faster, squares faster and everything. And so do people, I think I want to understand, a lot of people are banning the barbarians in the matches?
Yes, because of the instability right now in the game, having all the barbarians move across, because they move along the same turns as city-states and AI. Now with that in mind, you have this is on a peer-to-peer system, so all that means the data is going from me to you, from me to that player, me to the other player, to every single player, and all the other players have to do that same thing with each other. It's not just on the host. Everyone has to handshake data with every other player. That
So
includes barbarians. That includes, because the barbarian movement data, what units are out has to be sent to every player. Otherwise, not every player would be able to see the barbarians.
So it's just an extra thing that can go wrong.
Yes, and it can add a significant delay to turn times, because it's got to load the next turn, because every time you click that next turn, it loads them to the next turn. It has to send all that data around to everyone as everything's moving.
Oh yeah, that just brings up a question that I don't know if you have an answer to it, but like what you're saying, I think I asked you this before, you're saying you don't think that they can make this game have a dedicated server the way it's coded. It's not do some major changes to the game. Like it's not as simple as just saying like, League will put up a server and we'll just mod. So like it's not that simple for us to play the game in that way. Like it's not possible at the moment, apparently, right?
Honestly, I don't see it as being possible right now. I mean, it's set as a peer-to-peer game. It's not set as a hosted thing. But however, I have heard a rumor. This is unconfirmed rumor, okay? So everyone, don't go all off the bandwagon with this just yet. That we may get Pit Boss, which acts as a third-party server, which will help alleviate a lot of the stress in that situation. So if that happens, we could see a lot more stability in games.
So when you have a Pit Boss, you would have a separate person that's not playing the game be the Pit Boss server?
No, Pit Boss is like a third-party corporation entity that would act as a hosting service, like GameSpy or something of that fashion.
Okay, and so it's really meant for people that do a turn and they come back the next day. But you're saying you could just do a continuous Pit Boss and do a continuous game with a Pit Boss too?
Absolutely. Just as we do now with the peer-to-peer, we could definitely do it with Pit Boss. So it would be a lot more stable, because because all the stress is on the individual computers right now. Servers help alleviate that stress by taking on as much of the workload as possible.
And so is it sort of like the weakest link if you're playing like a 10-player game and one guy has got like really making it that game's going to crash a lot more than the game with like everybody's got a good computer?
Yes, it would make it a lot easier.
So that's something, I mean, that I guess that we could improve in the league on, and maybe just educating people better. Like if you've got a weak computer, you've got to turn your settings down or do whatever you can do, because it's not just you, it's going to mess up the entire game. So I know the person they like to see, but like if you're playing a big game and you don't have you really should turn your settings way down, right?
Yeah, you definitely have to. We could see players playing on much higher settings if they don't have to worry about dedicating so many resources to something that honestly shouldn't be a problem.
Like I know I think you're saying CanuckSoldier is not a fan of the strategic view, but the good thing about it really opens up a lot of weak computers to play the game.
It definitely does.
That bad? I don't think it really looks that bad. I mean, it's not like this, but if it lets you play it when you could never play it without that, I think it's a nice option to have.
Yeah, and for those of you watching right now, I've just shifted mine into strategic view, and you can see how it breaks down the hexes a little bit differently here.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's just not. I don't think they ever had that option in the other. I knew of that you could just play in this like strategic. So I'm really hopeful that I think this could be the right time for Civ 6 to really take off multiplayer, because I thought about it, like back when Civ 4 was very popular multiplayer, but back then there wasn't. I don't think there was a lot of esports yet happening in 2005, 6, and then the Civ 5 was sort of a down, because it was just kind of broken, right? So that wasn't going to be popular. But now with Civ 6 and esports very popular, and I saw an article saying that Team Liquid they have a team. I guess the Mr. Game Theory is they've got a team they're forming at Liquid, and so they're going to start doing more tournaments. I guess they already are doing tournaments, but I saw an article saying that the guy behind it really believes that it can be a big esport.
He did, and he ran a tournament last fall, and it had quite a few hiccups, but it was the first tournament for the game, so it's not going to run smoothly as, say, a StarCraft tournament or a World of Warcraft arena, tournament competing at BlizzCon, because this is something new. It's not, fully cemented out and smoothed over.
But the fact that Team Liquid is trying to do this is like a big deal, right? Because they're like there's not just some like fly by night. This is like a major player in the esports. They do a lot of StarCraft, right, and a lot of League of Legends. So if they're putting some investment behind it, I think that's a really good sign.
However, I mean, the article in specific you're referencing is, however, from last year, so it's quite dated. So if they haven't posted anything new, that's still shaky ground, because as said, that tournament did not go over particularly well. I mean, Mr. Game Theory did give it his best, and he should be given props for that at the very least.
Okay, I guess I didn't check the date on that. So that was an older article. Still, I just think it's fascinating that they're even trying, because I would never think. I would always say, oh, Civ, I love it, but I didn't ever think it would be a popular esport, because I just don't see casual people watching it. I think you almost have to play it to want to watch it. Saw that, just like, wow, that's incredible that they're giving that a try. Not that I don't think we're just happy to play. I mean, it could be like a bonus if it became a really popular esport. But, this is just great that you have a place to go and meet people and start games. And yeah, if it got to esport status, that's just like a cherry on the top or whatever. But it's not critical for us to be able to have fun with the game.
Oh, definitely. It would make a lot of hype for it, though, for sure. I mean, even the small-time tournaments, like the TCL one, we've had as many as 150 people watching that, and new people have been joining communities and such off of it. So it's definitely absolutely worthwhile.
And so this tournament, when they did this tournament, did they have people there physically doing it like a StarCraft tournament, or were people just playing on their computers at home?
People were playing on their computers at home, but we had a player individually casting the event with an observer mod that allowed him to see the entire map.
Because I think that would be the ultimate someday. Like it just makes it more. I think it just in it more if they see like a big hall and you see a bunch of guys on computers playing Civilization. It sort of makes it more. I think it would be cool if they could do at least one of those sometime, where they had 6 guys in a room and they had the 3 teams, and that you had like a commentator, and like they do for StarCraft. That would be cool if it got that one time.
Right, and people are doing their best right now to get it off the ground. So it's really exciting to see these communities take these and try to elevate it to the next level on their own. because there's not any formal support from Firaxis or 2K or any other large entities. So far, Mr. Game Theory is the only person that had an actual corporation's backing, because Team Liquid is technically a corporation entity.
Yeah, I mean he's an interesting fellow. I think I played him one time. He crushed me. I know he's like famous for all these 1 versus 2 and 3 and 4 and like he was. I don't know if he's a top Civ 6 player. I don't really know, but I know he was a top like 4 and 5 player. Like, does he come in our league and play a lot, or does he just come by sometimes? Or
he just comes by every now and then. For now, whether. He was planning on registering a team for the CCC, but it was too close to the deadline for him to really get it in on time, which is unfortunate, but I personally am very much looking forward to seeing what he brings to the table in the future.
Has he played some of our top, any kind of like, well, he does, I've seen him play some games, but I wonder if he's ever like done a duel or small games with some of the top guys in our league. Let's see who's. I'm gonna assume that I'm not in. Well, I have the most points. Wow, whatever that means this early. doesn't mean a lot. I'm assuming.
No, not particularly.
Is that something you do? I'd see. I'm still new. For me, I do look at the score a lot. Is that something that top players don't look at the score as much? Or?
Well, no, they do. It's just not something to be kept an eye on very closely. It's very misleading. The score is not a very good interpretation of positions in the game. And that's because you get points from completing techs, completing civics, not your culture or science per turn, which is honestly what actually dictates the flow of the game more.
So it's probably more useful to look at the other screen where it says like I'm in 3rd place on science or I'm in 4th place. That I guess would more useful, right? Because you can see, okay, I'm the 10 behind this guy in science, or this guy's got like a 600 military and I've got a 200. I better ramp up, or that's probably more useful than the score, then, huh?
Oh, very much so.
I got barbarians coming at me, but I guess everybody's just seeing the game from your point of view, right? And we have not. So.
We have not synced up our screens for something like that, but we can in the future. We can discuss it for sure.
See my awesome civilization when it comes at your doorstep.
Now, as Rolf Jason pointed out in chat, yes, you can view what another civilization's size and culture per turn is, but only if you have made contact with them. As you can see, I'm going over the science now on mine, and while I can view America and Congo, I cannot see King Louis at all because I have not met him.
What size of map is this? Is like a standard size map?
It's a small 6-player.
Oh, this is okay. This is a 6-player. Okay, I see. 1, 2. Yeah. Okay, so we should run into each other at over, I would think. Maybe not. A lot of people don't like the barbarians. Also, they think the horse is overpowered. They get these horsemen.
If you have horse barbs early on, it's a death sentence.
Yeah, I have one attacking me, but archer that's killing him, and they don't seem to be as good as like your horsemen though, like actual.
That's also because the AI makes very bad war moves.
Yeah, I liked it. Like I said, I'm not that familiar with. I played a little bit of Civ 5, and I never really got the hang of their culture a lot better. But the Civ 6, it seems like it's taken the 5 culture and really put a lot of twists on it. That makes it. I think makes it really good. I think it's better than a lot better than the Civ 5, the way they did the culture, because now they've made like a tech tree too.
Oh yeah, definitely. And absolutely, Rolf, you can definitely check to see out another player's gold per turn by going to the diplomacy screen, clicking Make Deal, and you'll see how much gold they have total. You keep clicking on the gold per turn until it stops going up. You'll see how much gold per turn they make. You can view their
Oh
strategic
yeah, I do that
resources.
sometimes. Yeah, you try to do it. Yeah, you try to do a deal, and you can see it'll show you how much they have to trade with. Yeah, that is a good tip. That whole big. How many cities do you have already? I have a whopping
3.
2 cities.
I have 3 up at the
Well,
moment.
see, the audience, this is why I'm a noob player and he's an experienced player, because you can already see that I'm deviating from good play already. I'm sure if you could see my screen, you would see all the errors I'm making.
Yeah, the biggest difference, as was pointed out again by Rolf in chat, is that in Civ 5 you didn't have policy cards for your governments. You were kind of just stuck with what you had.
Also, for a while, I heard it was really broken with, like, there was only a certain number of cities you could build, and the science penalty was so severe that play the game and only build like 3 or 4 cities or whatever. And I think they fixed it towards the end. That probably chased away a lot of people. I just remember talking to Canuck over the years, and he was just saying that it was just not, people were not liking the Civ 5 multiplayer. But you know, it's like a chicken egg thing. If it gets popular enough, then or effort, you know, into the multiplayer, and it will get better, and you'll get more people. So yeah, I'm hopeful that you keep pushing, getting more and more people, get more attention, and Firaxis will put more into it.
Definitely.
Untapped market, because I know there's lots of people who want to play multiplayer, that because I've been that person. Maybe everybody's kind of been that person that you go on the internet and you try to play, and some guy's a real big a-hole to you, or they quit, or you can't find games, or I can't find a game with anybody that's close to your level, and you just go, well, that's too bad. I'd like to play it, but I'll just play single player, and then you just kind of give up. And I've been there before, but people that you don't have to do that. If you come to this league, you will find plenty of games, and you can be a total beginner, and you'll find there's even some of the clans are doing, like, I think tutorial things of teaching the games, and you can play in these free-for-all games, and it's not so critical if you're terrible or not, because you're just one of 8. And so yeah, just don't think what CanuckSoldier said was, we don't really do a lot of non-ranked games because people just tend to want to play ranked games. And so people, I think, should just about it and realize that when you first start, you're going to lose a lot, and don't worry about your record. And you can, as I think all the players know, but it's good to point out, you get, like, one time you can clear your whole record. So when you get better, a lot of people will just clear their record to 0 and then start over.
Definitely. And actually, it's Clan Sun Z that is hosting. They actually have a tournament coming up that I was told about. They haven't locked in a date yet, so I'm not ready to quite fully plug that in for them. But as soon as they do, I'll definitely be including it in on a podcast. But they are also running regular training events. And I think that's what you were trying to mention there. Yeah, and they did one in the past, and it was very successful.
They were the ones that invited me, and the other clan snubbed me. So I will get my revenge. No, I'm just trying to get myself. I'm just trying to get myself amped up for the clan tournament. I don't have any ill will against the other, but they did snub me. That's what I'm just going to tell myself. Just for the clan tournament, get myself psyched. I don't even know what the difference is. I know Sun Z is welcoming more, and the OP is like invite only for, like, elite players. I don't really know what the KC, what their tenants, what their thing is, and there's also a DI or DL league. That's not part of our league, but they're playing in.
DI is another group and community all on its own. It's its own separate entity, and they enjoy participating in a lot of tournaments as well. So to have them here with us is actually really nice as well. There'll be a lot of competition in the CCC. You're gonna have a lot of different communities represented.
But it's not a clan. It's not a clan, but it's just but we're just calling them.
No, they are a clan.
Oh, it is a clan. Okay. What's the other one? There's another one that's not in our league that's playing too. That's a clan. There's a fifth one, isn't there?
That was going to be TL, Team Liquid, but they had to withdraw due to something because of their last-minute registration. And then when we managed to make room for them, their players had already made outside plans in real life, so it was too late. Just the last minute, and I mean like saved by the bell last minute for them, because they had actually turned in their roster 2 minutes before the deadline.
Okay, and is this something that's done every few months, the clan, the big CCC thing, or is it?
No, this is going to be a couple times a year sort of thing.
So what's the big, is there like one big tournament that everybody thinks of as like is the tournament where like if you win that you are the man, or is that not really the case? CCC, like that's a pretty big deal, but is there like a certain, maybe not even hosted by our league, that's considered like this is the best, where I mean if you win this, like you're the best player?
The CCC can get pretty heated in terms of competition between the clans, but it's mostly about the camaraderie and just having a great time. And as Canuck is pointing out in chat, he's actually joining us in chat right now, and he is pointing out that we will be having the CCC upwards of 3 times a year. Good. And as more clans come into the picture, we'll have different events planned out. It won't always be 4v4s, 3v3s, the 2v2v2, and the free-for-all game. It'll also be, you know, a whole great deal of events that we can really pull from, because as more clans join, we'll have more ideas to have access to.
Yeah, I know I'm not the only one. I think as Atomation and some other players definitely want to eventually have a dual match in the CCC. But at the moment, it wasn't really, I guess it wasn't really feasible. But I think that's something maybe added in the future.
It would be nice, yes.
The new, I'm not sure when it's coming, the new version of the league, you guys are switching to a different software version, and it's gonna allow you to have dual, like an option where you can look at your record just against duels, I think.
I believe you're referring to the new website that's going to be launching soon, and while I specifically have not been given an exact date of its release, I know that it is in its beta testing phase right now.
Because that'll be nice if you can. It's just an option. I guess you can it's just one of the, I guess, or something like that, where they'll say, okay, here's your record versus duels, or that'll be nice. I don't think I must not have completed my policy thing yet.
Gotta be more.
Why I don't have a government?
More staunch about your research.
What was that? I had not researched political philosophy yet. The new government's coming for me. Any more questions in the chat rooms or anybody? You said that CanuckSoldier is joining us pretty soon, though, right?
He should be, yes. He's really active in chat, so I'm kind of surprised. Hey, thank you very much for the follow. Really appreciate the support. Hope you guys are enjoying the podcast as much as we are doing it.
Maybe somebody will come. Oh no, they're seeing me. If they were seeing me, there'd be a bunch of people coming on like, "What is that guy doing?" Like, well, I'm not a good player.
Everyone has to learn somewhere, and that's what people need to remember.
Yeah, I'm perfectly willing to jump in, and always take my beatings, and I just keep coming. I always say you learn by dying.
That's one way to look at it.
Evening, listeners. Yes, I am right and now in with King Louie and Sarnith.
Hello, sir.
Welcome to the podcast.
I'm glad to be here.
So this is nothing new for you. You said you'd been in like 9 of the podcast.
Yeah, there's a long history of podcasts in the Civ community. There's one run by the former owner of Polycast, who still does that, and I've been on there several times. I mean, it's all a different format. His Polycasts are based on the single player mode of doing stuff for the most part and discussing game mechanics. And of course, we are here to produce something attuned to the multiplayer community.
Okay, I didn't know that it was only single player focused on that. So okay, that's interesting.
They do some of those co-op games that you were talking about earlier, where they'll sit down and beat up on AI. But I don't really consider that as real multiplayer. It is good for them, and they actually have a show called Turncast, which is based on that idea.
Because it brings in more casual players, and some of those casual players will one day become hardcore players.
There will always be, your hardcore single player guys, your casual MP players that really they play MP like they play single player. And then you get a place like Civilization Players League, which is more attuned to being competitive. You don't get to start out with any major skill level, but we prefer to, we will train you to get better. If you want to get better, this is the place.
Yeah, I've learned a bunch of things from the beatdowns I've received in duels. So it's overwhelming, but I'm trying to take it all in slowly.
Yeah, it's new players don't have to get overwhelmed. We were all new players, and we all got our butts kicked here at one time. Even guys like Philly and Automation and those guys, they were all new players too.
And so this league was going when it started under Civ 2?
I personally started playing Civ at Civ 2. Civ players started out just after Civilization 3 Play the World came out, which if for people that were around back then you remember that Civ 3 actually was not released with multiplayer. It was the first expansion, Play the World, that introduced multiplayer mode, and so we all headed to the GameSpy lobby, and needless to say, things were not perfect. The first kick at the cat back then, but a good friend of mine called Warning U2 decided that the community was fairly, getting more mature, and he decided to create a league to encourage some basic gentleman's rules of no quitting and stuff, and that's where Civ Players was born.
Okay, yeah, because I didn't really play Civ 3, but what I understand, at the beginning, it was like really broken. The multiplayer that Play the World was like terrible. I don't know how long
it took probably a full second expansion before it was pretty stable. I think everyone here can remember when Civ 5 was released and how rough around the edges the MP code was. Civ 3 Play the World was probably a good twice as unstable as that. But you have to start someplace. So Fire Axis did pick it up and made Civ 3 a pretty good game. Civ 4 was probably one of the most enjoyed Civ franchise games for multiplayer. And Civ 5 not so much. And now we're coming back with Civ 6, where they've learned some good lessons. And really, I believe that Civ 6 is what Civ 5 should have been, especially with the multiplayer community here.
Yeah, and I think it's got a lot more potential for the league to grow, because I think you still got a lot of people from the 4 days who don't maybe even realize that Civ 6 is really good, and they just they jumped off of 5 and maybe never come back, and maybe the word gets around and finally that hey, the Civ 6 is really really good, and so I think there's still a lot of guys that can get into this.
Oh, yeah, we're making strides, and we're growing quickly here. The fact that Civ 5 kind of sucked for MP kind of set the league back. And when we went from Civ 3 to Civ 4, there was a continuous link between players that jumped, and Civ players just continued serving both communities. Civ 5 kind of broke that because we competitive MP basically died after the second year of Civ 5, and we sort of had to just hang around and wait for Civ 6 to come out. So myself and Sarnith and all the other admins are kind of inventing the multiplayer competitive community from scratch again, because the last time that existed was Civ 4.
Yeah, I mean, Civ 3 was very good. I mean, that's one of the better, because it still has a loyal following of players I see on Facebook that still play Civ 3. So it must be a good game if people are still playing it after all those.
Yeah, there's actually still a Steam group that I set up a few years ago that still has a good 20 to 30 Civ 3 players that really don't want to let the game go because they enjoy it. Civ 3 really did have a good basis for scenarios to be made that work well. I mean, its graphics is primitive compared to Civ 5 or Civ 6, but considering it came out in 2002, the gameplay is really enjoyed by those players.
Yeah,
and I have fond memories of it myself, but you have to move on.
But Civ 4 is what really when the multiplayer really took off.
I would also say for Civ 4 that it probably had the best just one more turn syndrome since Civ 2. I mean, that's subjective in every way. You ask people what the best game in the Civ franchise was, and you'll get just as many answers as players. But I personally feel that Civ 2 is what really got me hooked, addicted, like playing games until 4 in the morning and then turning around and watching the sunrise kind of addiction. And Civ 3 was a really good game, but it didn't quite have that. And I found Civ 4 really did. And I'm finding Civ 6 is also at that point where we're not even at the first expansion. So there's three and a half more years of Civ 6 development to happen, and really it's got a solid base.
Absolutely.
Yes, I started off on the Civ 1, and I think that's a great game, but there was very little multiplayer back then. It was just single player, but I definitely, played hundreds and hundreds, probably over 1,000 hours of Civ 1, and then I jumped back on in Civ 4, and then kind of went away for 5 mostly, and now I'm all back into it again.
Oh yeah, Civ 2, Civ 3, and then Civ 4, but the first 3 Civilization games definitely set the pace for the market, so to speak.
I mean, it just, even people that don't know anything about Civ, a lot of them have heard of Sid Meier. It was just a kind of such a groundbreaking, game that when it came out, I don't think there was anything quite like it to have that much depth and just open. That's what it's so open ended. You can win so many different ways. It's not just a war. You could, there's so many different ways to win and play. I think that's what got people addicted.
Definitely. There's a lot of different things you can do with negotiating deals, making all sorts of things, how you choose to wage war, what units you prioritize. Everything like that is a really big deal.
And really the best thing about Civ is, once we've balanced the game out, there should really be no right strategy to win. There should always be decisions to make, and that's what Civ has always been good at. When the game is released, there's always, especially in multiplayer, we always figure out how to exploit the game, and then the developers take that into consideration, and patch it, and there's never really a good one way of doing things in Civ, and that's what makes it so great.
So is the plan eventually to have like a mod that incorporates all the general league rules that you can just load up and then go at some point?
Probably some point in the future we'll look at a league mod. Mostly, I guess the biggest problem for us is balancing the civs so that we don't have this problem about tier 1 civs and tier 2 civs and and tier 4 bottom end civs. And we can do that. What really we're waiting for is for the league to mature, the player base to mature a little better, so that we can get a consensus of what can happen. And I would really like to see that happen, but I think maybe probably another 6 months to a year before everyone agrees on what we can do with, Scythia or Samaria, or because right now, yeah, everyone agrees that some civs are more overpowered than other civs, but getting an agreement on what we should do about it is a little more difficult. But I think we're working towards that, where we could come up with a mod that balances the civs so that all the civs are playable and no one is really more powerful than everyone else.
Yeah, so it's still, even for all the experts in the league, they still haven't absorbed everything, is what you would say. Like they don't know everything that's broken yet, or everything that's, at least there's no agreement on it yet.
The game is so deep in strategy that it's hard to see what the second and third order effects of something are, and it takes time. Like every time we get a patch from Fire Axis, they make these. You'll notice that they don't make huge changes. They make small changes, and that's a smart thing to do, because then they can analyze it when it hits the streets, and how we play, how the single player guys play against the AI, how the AI reacts to them, and how we find the game mechanics. Like in the last patch, they made Egypt a little more buff, and actually that's been received quite well. Their mounted archers are actually not so bad anymore. So Fire Axis does monitor various fan sites, and does continue to make changes based on feedback in the game.
Yeah, it's just that they're just not like, what would you say is the percent of people that play multiplayer of all the Civ? It's heavily single player still, isn't it? Of all the players that play it.
I think it's slowly changing, but yes, I mean, I think we're still looking at 5% of the market in Civ is multiplayer. But that is our goal here at Civ Players, as the center of gravity of MP in the community, that to wave the MP flag and get more people into it, and basically also to show the developers and 2K that this is a game that we can move forward with, and it can become a big multiplayer game, just like StarCraft or World of Warcraft or something. That, I mean, we'll never be at the level of a first-person shooter, because those games are just more simplistic and appeal to a wider audience. And this is a 4X game, so it's never going to reach that level. But I think we can do a tremendous better job in the future, getting multiplayer to a larger community. And I think that the discussion on esports is there. We're not there yet, and the game isn't 100% supportable as an esport right now. But if we get it to that level, and we are working hard as Civ Players to do that, running the Clan Championship Cup, taking part in other tournaments, we supported the Team Liquid tournament, pushing the boundaries on observer mode mod, hosting Twitch streams, anything we can do to push the fact that MP is fun and enjoyable and competitive all at the same time. Those are not competing factors. It can be fun and competitive. It's not either or.
And that's really great that we're taking this to really push things out, because if we can actually get the attention on it, that means maybe Firaxis 2K will give them the funding that they need in order to really promote this, to push it, to make it what it could be rather than what it is now. And it almost seems like there's a lack of vision in that sense. And speaking of issues with gameplay, let's talk city-states. There's been a lot of chatter in our community lately about city-states. So their placement seems to be really unfair. You'll have someone spawn with like 4 or 5 of them around, get all these first meets, and just run away with the game as he smashes them all.
I mean, I'm definitely not a pretty noob player, but I really like city states, especially for duels. I think it adds a nice element. Instead of just one-on-one, you got to factor in the city states and whether you're gonna make them your suzerain or what you're gonna do with them. And I really like them, but yeah, I'm not saying I'm sure that it's got some things broken about it.
And we have to manage our expectations here. Fire Axis will probably eventually, with an expansion pack or two, completely be able to balance the single player game. I think it's unrealistic to expect Fire Axis to be able to both balance a single player game with the AI code and to balance the multiplayer experience, because we're just so much smarter than the AI is, and the actual purpose of the AI is not to win the game. The purpose of the AI program by Fireaxe is to provide a fun experience for the single player, customers. And that actually is a different end state.
Yeah, I think it's just a matter of I think players could be maybe a little more flexible and not being as absolute about, oh well, this is a little bit broken, because people are willing to play these large, FFA games, and that's definitely not all fair. You get a bad start or you get ganged up on, and so I think if they're willing to accept that, they should accept some, other things in the game that are not perfect either.
Yeah, and I think that's a little bit of the, we have our random lobby pickup games in our Discord channel, and people accept the randomness of, the free for all game. And even when, say some players complain about, well, it's an unfair start, or I really got screwed over, or I really got that OP start and I just snowballed away with the game. You hand them, Fireaxe has produced a couple maps that are pretty balanced in Snowflake and Clover, and yet people played them here for a month, got bored, and went back to playing Fractal, Pangea, Continents, stuff that can be totally unbalanced and not provide you with as fair chance as your neighbor. And
I think it's because somebody said the reason is that some players will get they will memorize the map and then they'll have an advantage. So ideally you need like a randomly generated NGM map every time. Otherwise, some players or a lot will just memorize the map and they'll know exactly where to go or everything. If you don't have a randomly generated and that's what the problem with the Clover and the other map, they're the same every time, I think.
And probably for your normal lobby games, that kind of randomness is fine, because over the long haul, statistically, you're going to get your OP starts, and you're going to get your starts that basically turns you into a city state for the game. But overall, it's going to even out, and people are okay with that. For a tournament, though, we really have to look at creating a balanced map for especially team games, where one team isn't just, okay, well, I get the west side, so I can't win. We don't want that. Tournaments have to have some sort of hard-coded maps that we've created in the past for, that, even competitive, leave it up to the skill of the players as a team thing.
So do you know much about, I don't know anything about modding. Is Civ 6 very moddable compared to the other Civs, or is it really be skilled at programming to build a mod it well?
Well, I would say it's probably on par with Civ 5 or Civ 4. Yes, your average player is not going to just pick it up, but for people that do modding, it's not any more difficult than any other Civ game has been. We're still, there's a few small minor problems, like creating mirror maps with rivers has a bug in it, so we haven't been able to do that. But we've actually had some of our staff here pick up modding, doing custom world builder maps and adding features to them and making tournament maps out of them. So it's definitely within the realm of our capabilities, although personally I'm not that guy, but we do have people that can do that.
So somebody would makes a mod map and just gets introduced just for the tournament, so nobody's ever seen it before, like that?
Yeah, that's exactly what we've done in the past. Blade 7, one of our admins here, has done that, created a couple different maps for tournaments in the past, and that's worked out quite well for us.
That's cool. Yeah, it's something that gets, it's nice for people that like to be creative. It's a good.
So yeah, we really have two outlets we're tuned to: the very competitive but accepting of randomness lobby games, and we're tournaments where we need we would probably create something new for each tournament so that people don't get bored like they did of Clover and Snowflake, and provide that for the really competitive games that require freaking minimum randomness.
So what is your kind of game that are you more like the free for all games? Or what is you have a favorite type of game that you when you're playing yourself?
Right now, I'm a free for all guy. I enjoy teamers, but team play requires, like I would say, team play is going to be the ultimate in competitiveness. But you have to get together with people and know them. So, I started pushing for clans here a few months ago to get the clan thing rolling because clans really are the top level of competitiveness within the league. So they represent players that want to get together, they want to play, they want to have pride in their clan and represent their clan in games. And most clan games are team games. So whereas the average lobby games are FFAs. So we sort of we gain our skills playing FFAs, and then you start learning how to apply those skills in team games where you're cooperating with your team. And it's not necessarily about you as an individual doing your best, but how can you enable the team? So, for instance, in an FFA, you would never donate all your cash to someone else because that would cripple you. In a team game, you're going to do that. You're going to be maybe the civ that sits back and just pumps out gold and supports other players in your team. Well, they upgrade units and they go in the military game. You don't.
Yeah, I'm gonna be on the 4v4 for the Sun Z, so I'm planning on just having my my ears on, and they're gonna be telling me a lot of what they want me to do, and I'm gonna just be, because they have a lot more experience than me. So I'll just do my best to not screw it up as much as I could. Minimal screw ups, that's all. But I'm expected that I'll just mostly be doing what they recommend.
Yeah, and that's the smart way to look at it. I mean, a couple of really good players on a team can bring along the entire team. As long as you can listen, understand the basic mechanics, and listen to your partners and what they're telling you to do, you can be part of that winning team.
There's a lot of coordination. Like, I don't understand it. Like, you don't share, like in Civ 4, you would share the absolute tech. If you got like whatever it is that everybody in their team had it, but this one you share the boost, if I understand correctly.
Yeah, so that was a design decision by Fireaxis not to do what we did in Civ 4, which was completely shared tech. If all three players switched to the same tech, you would virtually triple its rate. Here, you can't do that, but you do benefit from one of your partners completing a tech. You get a boost and complete it faster.
Yeah, that's better, because otherwise a 4v4 would just be like a science race, right? If you're going to share the tech of your other three players, that would be kind of ridiculous, probably.
It's I don't have an insight to what Fireaxis was thinking. I mean, there's benefits to each system. In Civ 4 you could share or you could choose not to. But I think it's looking at the team games we've had. I think other than not having team start locations in basic script maps, the team game is pretty good.
Yeah, there's definitely, as was saying, there's like a huge number of teams going on right now. People getting ready for the tournament. You can see in the lobby a bunch of teams playing, a bunch of team.
Yeah, and by running the tournaments, we encourage those team practice games in the clans, and then the non-clan players in the lobby see the team games happening, how fun they are, and then want to get in on the action.
Yep, and it's really kicking off already. The amount of team games played in the community has exploded. What?
After you stream,
I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, it looks like right now there's let's see, team. There's 1, 2, 3. There's 4 rooms of team games going on right now.
Yeah, and we're, I think there is hesitancy by the general populace and Civ players to play team games because you would randomly have to partner up with another player in the lobby whose skill and personality you didn't know. But I think now people are more apt to take that risk and just jump into a team game because they realize how fun it can be as well.
Yeah, and it's more like it eliminates some of the problems of the FFA of like getting a bad start or getting ganged up on it. It's more pure. It's sort of like a duel, but with teams. Like, it's pretty, like, if you if you lose, you probably lost because you were just bested. It wasn't bad luck if you lose it, especially if it's a 2v2, or I would think, or if you lost, it probably was because you just got beat. It wasn't bad luck. Although you said there could be some bad spawns or something.
Well, if in a team game with the maps that we design, and if you look at the last 3 versus 3 team game that Sun Tzu played against a team from the Civ League, they basically steamrolled through them, and it was all doing the right thing every turn. Every player doing the right thing, snowballing their science, their production, putting Hans's in the exact right place, increasing production, just a team that clicked, did everything right together, had a battle plan, and executed it. Whereas the other team didn't do that. And at the end, they couldn't compete with the military, attack that happened.
Yeah, so yeah, it's a good like I think it helps you bond with the other players when they would beat a team that's not in our league.
Yeah, it was a tournament that's still ongoing, put on by the Civ League, and our clans have taken part in it, and they are doing very well. And I would even go as far as to say that they're dominated the games they've played so far.
If nobody really knows who the best player in the world is, but chances are it's probably playing in our league, probably, huh?
Well, I would say we probably have 90% of the top players playing Civ 6 in multiplayer in the world here. I mean, you can take a look at our ranking board on our My League site, and if you take a look at the top 50 players there, you're probably taking a look at the best 50 players in the world.
Yeah, and like I said, they're pretty welcome. Like I've had a bunch of duels, and some of them have been some of those top 50 players, and like especially for a short duel to play a big noob like myself. So it's really educational when you just play against somebody that good. You learn a lot, and it's nice that they're willing to play noob like me.
Yeah, our players take the game very seriously, but they're also willing to train new players because in the end that benefits the community. Noob farming, it doesn't do anyone any good. So we get new players in, we play them, we tell them what they're doing wrong. If they put a little effort into it, they're going to get better. I mean, we're not just an elitist organization here that doesn't care about new players. We very much care about growing the community, but we have a focus on, playing Civ well, and that's what we do here. So if you're looking for a place to come and learn how to play Civ well, this is the place to come.
And so the Discord is, like, I understand, it's pretty. Does it have I guess I'm not remember how long have we been doing the Discord here?
I guess it's been about 8 months now. We've been doing the Discord thing. Before that, we just had this Steam group chat, and Discord definitely is a good organizational tool, a good way of promoting community. With the voice chats and the different text chats, and it's very well way of organizing stuff. Steam chat really couldn't do that. TeamSpeak doesn't really do that as well as this does. So it's a good tool. I mean, that being said, the Discord server isn't the league in its entirety. It's just a piece of software. It's just a software that works very well for us.
But it's like a major step, like, because you have no control over the Steam chat, right? Like to kick people out or do anything, right?
No, the Steam chat belongs to us, so you can chat ban people and you can kick people out of the group,
okay,
etc. But as you've seen, the Steam chats, I mean, it's just a player list in chat. It's not organized into different channels, so you can see who's playing, and that's where Discord really excels over that. Because at one glance, you can tell there's 3 FFAs playing a team game. Oh, and there's 4 people in staging FFA. I'm interested in that, so I jump in. In the Steam chat, I had to ask people, is there a game playing? And the only way you could find out is by talking to people. It wasn't obvious at a glance.
So is there a lot more just general chatting, I imagine, with Discord? Because I remember at least maybe that was partly Civ 5. I would go in that room and there would be nobody saying anything. But that was the Civ 5 days. I don't know what it was like with the Civ 6 before Discord. But I imagine there's a lot more chatting now, just general chat rooms on Discord than there was on the Steam.
Yeah, it's I think Discord encourages more of a community feeling to it, and people take part more.
Yes, I'm pretty new. I just jumped in just maybe about 5 or 6 weeks ago. So I just, for me, it's great because I like to just sometimes just come in and just chat about Civ, and even if I'm not looking for a game. And so that's great that anytime I go on, there's always people looking for games or whatever.
Yeah, we pretty much have games 24/7 here through all the time zones on the planet. So it's I mean, we've grown in the past 8 months, and we continue to grow. We got about 350 active players right now, and that's always creeping up. So I think we're in a good place here. We're approaching the amount of players needed to have more clans, push towards that esport goal. That's where we're heading. We need a little help on the code side from Fire Axes, but as a community, we're growing, and we're, like we said before, we are showing Fire Axes in 2K that Civ MP can be a competitive esport game in the end, and that multiplayer is more than just something that should be considered as an afterthought. It should be something that they have a focus on when they're developing the game.
Yeah, I think it's hitting at just the right time because if you think about it, like Civ 4 was very popular, but there was no social media or very little, and I don't think there are a lot of esports. And then Civ 5, as everybody was saying, just was not good for multiplayer. So now this is the first time you have a good multiplayer game, and you have already a built-in social media and the Twitch and everything. So it's all the things are there, I think, to make it really take off.
Yeah, I mean, the world has changed a bit since Civ 4, right? Twitch, everyone knows about Twitch, YouTube, all that stuff. I mean, back in Civ 4, we were chatting on Yahoo Messenger and, TeamSpeak at the end. And that was basically the peak of Civ 4, working in the GameSpy lobby. And there wasn't, we didn't stream games back then. That didn't exist. Now we have over a dozen streamers here streaming games every day, and then we do stuff like this. Our first podcast, we've hosted games where we've streamcasted and commentated as an observer on the game, and we're really pushing the bar forward on our multimedia. And Sarnith is the lead of Civ players doing that for us and leading our efforts. And I think it's gonna work out really good so far, and we can only go better on it.
Yeah, it seems to be, like you said, we're getting like 10 to 15 matches a day. It seems to be really taking off, right? You said it could pass the Civ 4. The Civ 4 didn't hit its peak, you said, until a couple of years in?
Yeah, probably in the second year. Really what happens is we get the first expansion pack, and that really boosts the interest in the game. And then, that's usually in the second to third years where we peak. So we're only within the first year of Civ 6. And we built a pretty good place here.
And Civ 5 had a lot more sales than Civ 4, but because the multiplayer was just not good. But I saw some articles saying they expect Civ 6 to sell more than Civ 5. So if that's the case, there'll be a lot of multiplayer.
Yeah, Civ 6 has sold very well. So that's why I'm, there's obviously no announcement, and I can only predict that in beginning in mid-year 2, we will see the first expansion, because that's what history tells us. And since I know Civ 6 has sold well, we've had a few DLCs. Those have sold. So I'm sure 2K, as a publicly traded company, has no problem pushing more Civ 6 content out to us.
They just have to, it's just going to take a while, because they really had two kind of whammies, the Civ 5 and then that Civ Beyond Earth was a big bust. So they lost some people that they got to take a while to get back. Some of them who just said, like, what happened to Civ? But over time, I think it'll happen.
For sure. People will come back to the game once they see its quality returning. And Because people didn't just magically pick up Civ one day. They remember playing it either as kids or when they were younger. Because there are people of all ages play Civ. I mean, even my kids on occasion will sit down and play a few rounds. Warranted, they're kids, so they don't play the whole thing. But they do like a lot of aspects about it. So there's a huge market out there for the Civilization games. So 2K and Firaxis both need to up the game in order to make sure that they're reaching out to these various markets here that are just currently untapped.
And I think the user interface, just even 5, I think was a lot. I had a friend that was just playing. He was just saying it was a good learning. Like he said, he just thought the Civ 4 user interface was like terrible. And I think that even though 5 is not as good of a game, I don't think the user interface is better. And so Civ 6 followed up on that, because I had a friend that I got into Civ 4, and it only stuck for me. He played maybe 15 hours, but I got him on Civ 6, and he's played like 250 hours or whatever the difference was. Easier to play or something. He really got into it much more than he ever did in 4. I don't know exactly but something about it is easier to play or more intuitive or something. I'm now way behind in this game. I'm not going to shock anybody, but I'm losing badly to Sarnith now.
Well, like we said, you get better, we'll reset your stats for you, and you carry on.
The good thing is that I haven't met him yet, so nobody can see how badly I'm doing in the game, because it's his screen that's being shown.
I'm not doing all that great. I just went to war with America on their own continent is all. Thankfully, it's an AI and not, someone from our league.
Yeah, someone from the league would be owning you right now for doing that.
Oh, yeah.
So do any more questions in the chat room or on Discord about that they ask of us? Or
Speaking of which, I would like to open this up to our AMA section right now with our Ask Us Anything. Ask us anything related to the communities, the game Civilization itself, past, present, future, whatever, what have you. Throw your best questions at us. The three of us will throw our heads together, hopefully not bump each other's heads in the process as we try to come up with a good answer.
Yeah, I'm sure just like anything like this, we'll get a lot more viewers that see it later on when it's convenient for them. We'll get a lot more viewers after the fact over the next week or days.
Oh yeah, this is our first podcast, so people have to get to know that this is out here, and we'll do it on a regular basis, and people will be able to count on our podcast schedule, and I'm sure that the viewership will build, and we'll continue our community building aspect here.
Yeah, I'm just glad I could help out. I've done podcasts before that nothing to do with Civ, and so just kind of, I guess I was just the right time. I just said one day, yeah, you guys do this, and then you said, oh yeah, Sarnith is all about that. He just doesn't have any, and so I guess I filled the gap in. I was happy to get this going for you guys.
Yeah, and we're glad to have you on the team here and helping out in this, pushing the bar forward in the multiplayer community.
Yeah, it's great. It's always fun doing podcasts, and it's one little thing I can do to try to help grow the community. Then I'm all for it. I'm not growing the community based on people watching my excellent play, so I have to contribute other ways.
Well, we all have ways we contribute. I am in no way a top player. I'm solidly a little bit above average, but and basically in the league, not everyone can be top. You can't have a top third without a middle third and a bottom third. So people don't realize that we don't build a community just for the top elite players. We build a community for everyone, and it produces those players.
Yeah, and there's always going to be some people that just. They don't necessarily care if they're ranking, or for some people, they're competitive, but they also just want to find people to play. So that's a nice thing. And then probably if they stay in the community, they're going to get more competitive. But maybe their initial impetus is just to find people to play, which I think is fine. And if they, if it's too competitive for them, maybe they won't stay in. But at least it's at its simplest form, it's a place to go to find people to play the game against.
Yeah, I mean that's what our foundation here is built on, which is just treat people with respect and don't quit games. And really, yeah, we'll record all the games so you can see your stats and you can see if you're improving. But a lot of people aren't focused on on stats. They're focused on having fun games, and we provide that. That's what the foundation here provides. A lot of regular fun games for a lot of people.
Yeah, I don't know if they planned it. There's no like maybe they never had that. There's no option where you can play the game and watch like the repeat of your game. I don't know if they had that in 4 or not, or in 5.
That is a regular complaint, even on the single player guys, that there's no game replay the way there was in Civ 4.
So I guess the best you can do is you can replay the Twitch feed of if you really want to know, you could Twitch yourself, and then you can always replay your version of it, I guess.
Yes, and with all the streamers that we have in the community, you can watch a lot of 4, 5, 6 hour games here complete. If you want to do like the football review of the competition's game, you can do that here.
Yeah, I think that's something we could get into on a future podcast, to be like the ESPN for the league. Like, here's some of the games that happened, and maybe we show a few like scenes from the game and say this was a good move by like Philly Boy really handled it to this guy in this match, or that could be a one of the podcasts maybe.
Oh yes, and people really enjoy the Twitch feeds that we do. I mean, guys like Philly and Gunslinger are pulling over 50 viewers in a normal friggin' average game.
I think Harambe, I saw he had 10,200 total views, and I think he had about 30 games. So but he must have over a couple hundred per game to get 10,000 views and 30. I think I just saw he had 30 games.
Yeah, there's definitely a growing viewership on our Twitch feeds. It's people, and those people aren't necessarily even Civ players themselves, but they find it on Twitch, YouTube, top streamers, and we're actually, I think we're attracting new players into the Civ community from Twitch.
Yeah, so that's not the most. The most common is like a competitive, but you're saying there is a few people that just stumble on it and go, oh, I think Sarnith was saying that. Yeah, they'd say, oh, I checked it out. It looks like a fun game. I'll get it. And they'd never even maybe played Civ before.
Yeah, and that's definitely a more unique but very good way of bringing people into the community. We do advertise on other fan sites like Civ Fanatics, Steam forums for Civ, 2K forums, the various Reddit Civ sites, and right into the lobby. But everything helps. We don't have an open chat lobby like we did in Civ 4 with GameSpy. So our ability to advertise our community in the game lobby isn't there like it used to be. So we have to really be explore new options to let people know about the community here, and I think we're doing that.
Yeah, so if it keeps getting bigger, then maybe that could be something that Firaxis does, is maybe make a link in the game when you go multiplayer. It says go to Discord or go to the Civ Players League or go to something. That I could see that happening if they see that this league is big enough and they see the potential for more growth.
Yeah, I think that's an end state that after we've proven to them by our population, our community, that we're here and we're major, that we'll have that leverage.
Because it's helping grow the single player too. Somebody watches that Twitch and they may just play single player, or anyway, it's helping the sales of the game for sure.
Oh yeah, and if you get good at, if you learn your skills in MP, you can definitely go conquer a single player game.
I'm sure there's going to be like odd jobs popping up. I'm sure there must be people make a little bit of a side living just being like a Civ coach or something.
Well, I'm sure guys like Philly would love it if they could make a little more cash out of tutoring people in Civ. Maybe in the future.
If it picks off for esports, it'll definitely happen because you'll have coaches for teams.
Maybe I'll just hire people. I'll start it off.
Well, you know, some of our streamers have gotten to the point where they're Twitch or YouTube content partners and actually have started to monetize their channels. That's good to see that we have that level of viewership to do that.
But Twitch is much bigger than, I think Sarnith was saying, just the video quality is much better than YouTube. So YouTube is not so big for, it's all Twitch or mostly Twitch.
For streaming, absolutely. For streaming, it's definitely the much superior program in terms of broadcasting things out. And Twitch has just been around longer. YouTube, with YouTube Live, it still has its foot in the door. Google really hasn't put the pedal down on that.
I guess YouTube could be good for like a match that's already played and just throw it on there. Then I don't know how that is. Is there a way to put Twitch and throw it into a total match and throw it onto YouTube to watch?
You can, but it's not seamless because they're not related sites, right? But a little bit of effort on the part of the streamer, and yeah, we can upload stuff to our YouTube channel. That's what we're working on, content for that now.
Because YouTube just, I'm assuming, has just a much bigger user base than Twitch, or maybe I'm incorrect on that.
I think it's a different user base in that YouTube is basically a library of videos, and Twitch is a live feeds of stuff happening right now.
Okay, I do see some games on but a lot of the tutorials. I do see a number of games on YouTube and Civ games, but maybe not competitive ones so much.
Yeah, I've started to upload stuff to YouTube. I find it's a bit buggy when you're doing large 6-hour games, trying to get them uploaded and processed in. But I think we're going to get there though.
So did we go over all the topics that Sarnith put out there?
Yeah, I think we've covered it all. Let me check here.
Oh, we more than have, but it's good to have this reach out to people. Chat's been absolutely wonderful today with its input, and we really do appreciate you all coming out and supporting for the first podcast. I really hope everyone got to take something from this.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun for us to do it, and we're growing the league and educating people. So it's a great. I think it's all only good will come of doing more podcasts.
Yeah, and I think we'll get more feedback maybe after the fact, and be able to do more of these. Get an agenda of topics to discuss, and we've always got what are the problems this week kind of stuff. What's happening in the league this week, and then just run with topics that have come up.
Oh, absolutely. And we've already started doing that, which is absolutely wonderful.
Yeah, we'll get a lot of feedback, people saying like, talk more about this, or, tell Lewis to stop talking about how he sucks at Civ. We already know that, or, whatever. All the feedback will come in.
And that's the beauty of an MP community. The feedback is direct and, and well informed. And, we hang out in the lobby every day, and that's where people give us our feedback.
Absolutely. And with that note, this is where we're going to wrap up today's podcast. We actually went over our time. We're at an hour and a half live, and which is absolutely wonderful. I'm glad that we were able to keep this going as long as we have for today with our very first podcast.
Yeah, I'm happy to help out. I had a lot of fun. I look forward to the next one.
Yeah, thanks for all the viewers out there that's listening to us. And if you got any suggestions, let us know. We'll incorporate it into the next Civ Players podcast.
Absolutely. Really appreciate everyone coming out and watching today. Hope you guys enjoyed the podcast. Please let us know what you liked about it, what you didn't like about it. And please go ahead and throw us a private message to either CanuckSoldier, Sarnith, or King Louie. Let us know. We can make this better by you helping us make it better.
And everyone enjoy the weekend and come out and watch the Civ Championship Cup if you're not playing in it.
Yeah, don't stop by the stream if you're playing in it. You will get caught.
If you're not playing, watch it. You'll find some of the best matches this coming weekend from the top players in the world of Civ.
The top players in the world and me.
All right, thanks a lot, everybody. See you guys next time.